Joining us now is Adrian Arias, immigration attorney for Lincoln-Goldfinch Law. He joins us now. Adrian, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the executive order, because, as you know, it was a major moment yesterday with an executive order being announced. President Biden announcing it, and it went into effect really at midnight because of the threshold levels that are in place. I think it's over 2,500 a day. Then the border is essentially shut down. He announced these new restrictions that are going to allow the administration to ban asylum seekers who cross the U.S.-Mexico border illegally. This is the most dramatic move from this administration, although there's a lot of echoing from when former President Trump was in office, and this whole mechanism can be turned off or on if there is a daily average of fewer than 1,500 encounters between ports of entry. I want to talk to you a little bit about the issue here in terms of what is still allowable. This is not shutting down asylum, right?
Correct. So this new executive order will not be shutting down asylum. Asylum seekers will still be able to apply for asylum. So as you mentioned, this is targeting individuals who are seeking to enter the United States illegally. So anyone that is still applying for asylum, for example, through the CB1 app, like we've heard in the past, those individuals do not count. So you're still able to schedule an appointment through the CB1 app in order to apply for asylum. Obviously, that does, take a couple months in order for you to get an appointment. From what we've seen, it's taken 3 to 4 months, but those individuals are not being affected. So technically, yes, you're still able to apply for asylum. It's not getting rid of the program.
Secretary Mayorkas was on Fox News talking about this very issue, and, he has been a punching bag persistently over the course of his tenure, even calls for him to be impeached as an executive office holder. He spoke about the ability to still use the asylum process. Listen to this.
President Trump shut down asylum altogether. What we are doing is cutting out the smugglers and deterring irregular migration in between our ports of entry, where it's so very dangerous and the crossings are illegal. We are allowing asylum claimants to come to the ports of entry using our CBP-1 app in a lawful, safe, and orderly way. We also have built other lawful pathways for individuals to seek asylum in this country. So we haven't shut down asylum.
What is that? I know there are exceptions. He mentioned one of them, the CBP app. What can you tell us about that? And, of course, the other exceptions include unaccompanied minors, those who are victims of trafficking, and those with an acute medical illness.
The CBP-1 app, honestly, I've always seen it as more of a formality or more of a convenience, better word, just because, there are individuals out there that, possibly come to the border and they may not be allowed in for whatever reason, given whatever, condition or illness they may have. And so the CBP-1 app is more of a guarantee that you'll be scheduled for an interview and then you'll be able to fight your case. So as opposed to going to the border one day and just getting turned away, or, maybe they're not allowing, because the thing at the border with, a lot of us have to also consider this, is that everything is very discretionary at the border. They may or may not let you in. They may or may not allow you to apply for asylum, even though it is a right to be able to apply for asylum. The CBP-1 app just is more of a guarantee that, okay, I will be seen by someone, and then I can, plead my case to this individual.
And in terms of unaccompanied minors, one of the real concerns that some have said politically is that this might incentivize people to send their children as unaccompanied minors, hoping that they will have the opportunity to be let in and treated with dignity. I wonder, as an immigration attorney, what are some of the things that you are viewing this executive order through the lens of?
To be honest, and I feel really bad saying this, but but at the same time I don't. I feel as though this is a political tactic on part of the president to be able to kind of, potentially secure his spot moving into, elections coming up. As we saw with President Obama, he created, essentially the DACA program, but then he also had detentions. So it's kind of like they do something good, but then they do something bad. So they kind of have to appease both sides. And so I feel as though I feel as though the president is currently doing the same thing here, where he's doing something very aggressive at the border, but then we've heard rumors where he might be creating some kind of pathway to citizenship or legal permanent residence for those who have deferred action.
So is there an inconsistency? I mean, obviously, Washington, D.C., not known for being able to always walk and chew gum at the same time and not add in there breathe, and sometimes can't even walk through it. Is there an inconsistency in terms of how the law might view this if the actions of the executive order involve the shutting down based on the threshold with exceptions and then a separate pathway in terms of dreamers? Would one undermine the other in their ability to go forward?
I think so. Honestly, because I think that the best system that we've always had was before all of these different programs, came out. I thought that there was always uniformity when it came to asylum seekers. You go to the border, you go through a screening process, and then you have an interview with an officer at the border for what they call a credible fear interview. And at that point in time, the officer determines if you do have a credible fear or you don't have a credible fear. And then if you don't, you also have the option to go before an immigration judge, kind of like a second chance, to demonstrate whether or not you have credible fear in order to fight your case in court in the United States for asylum. So I thought there was always a streamlined process to handle these types of cases. So I think all of this is creating a bit of inconsistencies moving into the elections and just moving forward with everything that's going on in immigration. I'm not really sure what is it that they're trying to get at as far as what result they're trying to accomplish. Because it's still, it's not solving anything. There's always been a problem at the border, but I don't think this is specifically solving anything at all. If anything, it's making things worse.
Well, there are those who believe wholeheartedly in what you've said and view this as an optics-based decision, and then there are others who are looking at this through the lens of Congress having failed to act and an executive order being the result. Obviously, we are 150 so days away from a presidential election, and that is an inescapable realization. But we'll see whether this is, in fact, effective in the long run and what will happen. To be sure, as you can imagine, you're an immigration lawyer, there will be legal hurdles to overcome, as it is for every executive action. And the ACLU has already said they're going to sue. So we'll follow this story very closely. Adrian Arias, immigration attorney for Lincoln-Goldfinch Law.